What's up, everyone? Season Ticket talking at you live this bitter afternoon. I am your host, Dan Hooley, along with my good friend Scott Schroff.
Hello.
Exciting weekend in the sports world, especially in football. This weekend we found out the four teams vying for a shot at the Lombardi Trophy, and probably some of the most exciting games I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, these were definitely some interesting games this weekend. I can say that pretty easily.
That's going to be our top story to start. We're going to go in order of the weekend. Let's start with the Patriots-Kansas City game. And I will go ahead and say it. You guys can trash me online and say that I'm a hater. I cannot stand the Patriots being in the playoffs anymore.
Yeah.
I can't take it anymore. They've been in the playoffs for at least the last 10 years. Anybody else, please.
Yeah, and it's not so much of getting mad at the Patriots for being good. It's for the rest of the league that just lets them do good and doesn't, try. Come on, can someone just beat them, knock them off or something? Can we do something about the Patriots?
I
have all the respect for Tom
exactly.
Brady.
No.
Respect.
I respect their team. They're great performance, but I'm like, just somebody else. I don't want them in the Super Bowl for the third year in a row. Somebody else, please.
It's going to get old. It's very fast.
Kansas City, their hopes of kind of ending that little streak has died, apparently.
Yeah, I mean, it looked kind of close in the beginning.
Yeah, it looked like it was going to be a close game, and then Gronkowski was like, oh yeah, I do catch footballs after dropping a bunch of passes to start.
Yeah, no, that was Edelman that dropped a bunch to start.
Oh, really?
Gronk just wasn't used as much in the beginning of the game, but it was... a lot of people were dropping passes.
And then they were just like, oh yeah, we're the Patriots. We'll just go and whip them.
Yeah. And did you know, actually, fun fact about the Patriots, only one starter on their whole offense is a first-rounder. I thought that was pretty interesting to find out. Only one first-rounder, and it wasn't even a guy they drafted.
Really?
It was an offensive lineman, I believe, that the Rams drafted back in 2004. I think that's pretty good to have that good of a team, that good of an offense, without having a first-round pick. I think that's pretty... I don't know. Well,
I think that's a viable challenge for the winner of the next game we're talking about, the Green Bay-Arizona game. There was a lot of coverage from our Twitter during that game,
yes.
And I'm going to go ahead and say it. That was one of the greatest games I've seen in the football world.
Yeah, I would say that's the greatest game since the Super Bowl, because the Super Bowl was very exciting. But the Packers this year are just a team of a Hail Mary.
There were three... I wanted to start with that deflection touchdown by Michael Floyd. It bounced off a Green Bay defender and fell right into his hands. That was right. And then
because Carson Palmer looked very shaky at the end of the game.
Yeah,
they were moving the ball down the field mainly due to the running backs, and then he would throw short little passes. But then any time he got in the red zone, it looked like he was going to throw a pick. He did throw 2 picks in that game.
And it was one of those plays. If he had moved 3 inches over, that would have been an interception.
Oh, yeah, easily.
Green Bay would have had that game, but not. Instead, it's a touchdown, and then you have Green Bay going down the field.
And
then they're on the ropes. They're at 3rd or 4th down, and
3 seconds left in the game.
And Aaron Rodgers just wings a bullshit pass into the end zone. Yeah. Just it's that pass I don't know what's going to happen. Yeah. Let's just see where this takes us.
He's done it all year. This is the third game.
Who caught that ball?
It was Jeff Janis that caught that one. He had a great game. And no one knows who he is.
I don't know how he managed to pull that thing in, but he landed on and held on for dear life. So that tied it. And then
because it was an interesting story. I mean, it was an interesting thing that happened because Arizona was like, okay, we saw the Vikings do this, and they got to him, but the Vikings stopped that Hail Mary a few weeks back in the divisional game, in the division game to find out who was going to win the division. The Vikings stopped them by putting a lot of guys back in coverage. While the Lions, they were a mess, and that's how Green Bay ended up winning that game with the Richard Rodgers Hail Mary. But this game, Arizona was like, okay, well, let's just apply a lot of pressure. If we can get to Aaron Rodgers, then there's no problem. He's not going to throw the ball. But they didn't get to Aaron Rodgers. Oh, wow. That's crazy.
And then the weirdest coin flip I've ever seen. Yeah. The coin, I was literally watching that game, and I know I tweeted this. Flipping coins is rough, huh, ref?
Yeah, exactly. Chris Collinsworth said,
how the hell do you it didn't flip, Are you that stupid? You flick your thumb in the air and the coin flips. Like, what black magic happened to that thing to stay solid like that?
And Chris Collinsworth, I've even seen pizzas flip more than that. Not sure are you working at a pizzeria and you're part-time like Chris Collinsworth? I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe you would think if he had to keep up a part-time job, maybe it'd be less annoying. But I don't know. That's just the way things are. And then we go on to, and then Arizona's driving. They're going down the field. And
they get it from the kickoff, and then all they do is they throw it to Larry Fitzgerald.
It's a BS screen pass to Larry Fitzgerald.
Not really a screen pass, just a little comeback pass.
And literally, suddenly there's nobody in front of him. Just there he goes.
Somebody ended up hawking him down. They ended up first down, second down on the goal line. And then they pitched it to Larry Fitzgerald because screw it, let's let him get all the glory.
What it looked like like when you play Madden and you roll your quarterback to the right, so everybody's on that side, and you pitch it to that one guy, and there's nobody in front of him.
Yeah, exactly.
It was video game stuff.
Yeah, that whole game was video game stuff.
And then
the whole Packers season, really.
And of course, Arizona scores, and that's the end of the game. Green Bay's hopes are crushed.
Aaron Rodgers did all he can do.
Yeah, like nothing on Green Bay. Like it was actually. Kind of, I don't know. I don't want to. I can't really whether say it was a close game or like.
It was a close game.
Green Bay was lots of back and forth. I would say
Green Bay was winning for a little while. So.
I know. Yeah. Well, that was
very interesting game.
If you didn't watch that game, I sorely feel bad for you.
Go on YouTube, look up the highlights.
You missed so much as far as that game. And then on the Sunday, we started with the Carolina-Seattle game. Also, a very good game.
Yeah, well, in the beginning, the Carolina was just pounded them.
Yeah, I know. It's got every week now. It's the pounding. I don't know what subliminal messages you're sending our viewers, but it's involving pounding, I guess. But nonetheless, just a real shit smacking as far as the first half goes.
Nothing at the half, 31-0.
And people were looking at this, and they were saying, is this it? We're just gonna see some blowout. But this reminded me a lot of, being the Giants fan, the bitter Giants fan that I am. I was reminded of when they played.
You're not allowed to be bitter until you're a Jets fan.
That's true. No, but with the Carolina-New York game a few weeks ago, that was actually one of the first things we covered. But that's neither here nor there. And it was a similar situation. Giants were losing like 31-7 at the half, and then they just came back in the last half of the game, and it actually it came down to the wire as far as the fourth quarter goes.
Yeah, exactly.
Seattle was trying to get down the field, but they just couldn't get there in time.
Yeah, they couldn't do it. If Seattle had more time, if there was an extra 15 minutes on that clock, that game could have went a lot longer. But they did themselves a deep hole.
Honestly, if they had an extra 10 minutes, they could have. Shoulda, coulda, woulda. But definitely a good game to watch. And then the night game, the 4 o'clock game, Denver and Pittsburgh. That was another good game.
Yeah, surprisingly, a lot of people predicted, the Pittsburgh is depleted. They're not going to do anything. But some of their guys came up big. Their defense played very well against a not-so-great Denver offense, but they're still good. And then Big Ben did a lot better than people thought because people thought he would be injured, a lot more than he was. And Martavis Bryant stepped in for Antonio Brown, had big catches. It was pretty interesting game for most of it.
I would say
a lot of field goals.
I know. Kind of a low-scoring game, but
boring to watch unless you're an actual football fan.
But once we got towards the end, that fourth quarter got pretty exciting.
Yes, definitely.
I was listening to the game on the radio driving home when I had gone out later, and that got pretty exciting.
Oh yeah, just not even being a fan of either team, it was just so invigorating.
It's just this weekend was just solid playoff games, the stuff you want to watch.
To me, this is the best weekend of the year because you get 4 very good games between very good teams.
Exactly.
So I think this is next week. Okay, you're gonna get 2. I mean, you could get 2 shit shows. You don't know what you're getting next week.
Exactly, and it just hurts now that there's even less football.
Games. Yeah.
But
only 3 games left in the year, unless you count the Pro Bowl.
It's actually funny because a similar story was coming out with Denver after that game. The Broncos signed Derek Wolfe to a 4-year extension with a guaranteed $7 million.
$17 million, I believe, yeah.
He set his career high with 49 tackles over the 2015-16 season, which is very good as a defensive end.
Yeah, very solid guy.
Obviously, a big contributor to Denver's current situation. I guess I could say.
A lot of people look at defensive ends and see pass rushers, like a lot of them seem to be. But he's a good run stopper. He's a good old school defensive end. You know, he just gets in there, stops a run, does things that you need him to do. And with other guys on the Broncos like Von Miller and DeMarcus Ware to get after the quarterback and also stop the run, it's good to have a guy like Derek Wolfe in there to get tackles for you. And he even had 5 sacks. So hey, I don't know.
Yeah. So he's certainly earning his pay. I guess we could say
that. No doubt about that. Young guy too, 25.
Looking over at the losers circle, sorry to say, a couple of coaches hired this week, starting off with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers signing Coach Dirk Kotter, a hell of a name, and this man has had a hell of a career. Let's go through it for you. This man, he played college ball for Idaho State, quarterback.
Idaho.
He did decently, didn't go pro. He coached his high school in Idaho, coached at Boise State, Arizona State, was offensive coordinator for 5 other college teams, and then offensive coordinator for Jacksonville and Atlanta, and is now the head coach for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah,
now,
also he was the offensive coordinator of the Bucs last year. So
that is a storied career, let me tell you. Either he's really good or he's really bad. It
was just kind of like... It's so much experience.
Yeah,
they had to give him a job.
That's what I just thought of. You could just see the experience rating off of that.
Oh yeah, because he's obviously offensive minded, considering how many offensive coordinator jobs he's had. And the Bucs, they didn't play that bad this year. I mean, they're bad, but they got Jameis Winston, they have Mike Evans, they have a promising young future, and if they can use their real problem is defense. So to me, why don't you go out there and get a defensive guy, or why not keep Lovie Smith? I don't understand why they fired him to begin with, but it's going to be interesting watching Dirk Kotter over the next, hopefully more than 1 year.
After reading his rap sheet, I certainly want to see what this man could bring to the table. It sounds like it could be a lot.
Yeah, apparently a good offensive mind if he's been around so long.
And both jobs. Pro and in college, so that usually says a lot. Moving around and coaches being hired. The Eagles hired their new head coach, Doug Peterson. He was a former quarterback, actually, for the Miami Dolphins, Green Bay Packers, the Eagles, and the Cleveland Browns. He apparently backed up Brett Favre during a short while for his career.
Yeah, he was backup mainly for Brett Favre. But as you know, Brett Favre didn't really miss any games, so he wasn't seeing much playing time.
Yeah, that's just how it's got to be,
He was the Ryan Nassib of the Packers back in the day.
He spent some time as the assistant coach for the Eagles, about 3 years worth, and then spent 3 years as the offensive coordinator for the Kansas City Chiefs. So, being he was a quarterback and an offensive coordinator, he also seems to be he's going to be very offense coordinated. I guess it'd be fair to say.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting watching him because obviously over these past couple of years with the Chiefs, improving Alex Smith, and while Andy Reid did have a lot to do with that with his West Coast system, Doug Peterson clearly brought something to the table that Alex Smith liked, and clearly he worked under it. And Sam Bradford seems to be the kind of guy who can use a little rejuvenation in a system, so hopefully he can help him out there. DeMarco Murray, too. He's got to figure out a way to make that offense work that Chip Kelly just could not do.
The final coach hired over the weekend, the Titans bumped their interim coach, Mike Mularkey, as the official head coach after firing the original coach, whose name is
Ken Wisenhunt. Yeah.
Ken Wisenhunt.
Halfway through the season about.
I wouldn't say a very impressive stature as the interim coach. The Titans went 2-7 under his command for the remainder of the season.
Yeah. That team just lacks talent.
Over stints as head coach for the Buffalo Bills and the Jacksonville Jaguars, he had an 18-39 record.
Yeah, I believe he only had one winning season. That was with the Bills, and that's only a 9-7 record. So.
Yeah, I try to remain impartial and say, well, maybe he could bring something different, but what he's showing me isn't a whole lot.
Yeah, which I don't understand why the Titans would go after. Like, of course he knows the organization, knows guys, and maybe he's popular there. But like, there are guys out there doing better jobs and have. They're just better
certainly
people out
better
there.
than 2-7, I would say.
I'm sure
even
there's
among
better
the fired
coaches,
you know.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, you even got Tom Coughlin out there.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not sure he wants to coach the Titans. I don't know anybody.
Tom
does.
Coughlin, it's like he's that guy that just refuses to retire. So
yeah,
I don't know. Maybe he'll just.
I don't know what's going to happen with him, but he's surely going to have. I don't know. It's going to be interesting.
But I hate to say it, but I don't see high hopes as for Titans fans. Sorry to say, guys.
So. I mean, they're going to have a nice pick this year. Hopefully, they get somebody good. Maybe somebody for that defense, which was actually middle of the pack, but they gave up a lot of points, about 26.4 points a game, which is, you're not going to win unless you're going to have a high-scoring offense, which they didn't have a bad one, but surely not a great one.
Apparently so. Moving on into the hockey world, the Los Angeles Kings signed Anze Kopitar. I don't know why.
Yeah. This guy's
why did I say it like that? I noticed, man. For an 8-year extension.
I know him. He's my brother.
Ballpark estimate being in the $80 million range is what I heard from one source.
Yeah,
and
massive deal.
He's 28 years old. He's over 725 games. He's had 230 goals and 415 assists as a center. That's very good numbers, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, he's clearly doing good for his team. I mean, he's helped his team to 2 championships. So
yeah.
Any guy that can do that, being the top offensive guy or on your team, I don't know. I'll take that any day of the week.
He's been a very. I remember seeing him play against the Rangers. The last time they were in the Stanley Cup when they played Los Angeles. He is a very solid defenseman. So I would say a very sound decision. I was surprised to hear that kind of number as far as money goes.
Yeah, I mean,
that's
but
not
when you have a guy like that, you can't let him go.
Yeah, I know, but that's not a number you traditionally hear in hockey.
Especially, hockey isn't because it's because of the years. Really, it's the 8-year deal. I think that makes it such a high number, and
Well, yeah, if you really break it down, it's $10 million a year, which makes it seem less. It's just the numbers are scary. Numbers are scary, guys. Remember that.
I mean, 10 million in baseball is kind of just like, okay, you're a pretty good.
You're
player.
middle of the road.
Yeah, you're a pretty good player. But then in hockey, it's like you're the guy.
Speaking of baseball, there was some baseball news going over the weekend. The Orioles re-signed Chris Davis to 7 years, $161 million.
That man made out.
Yes, but certainly his pay is not unearned. Last year he had a .262 average, 150 hits, 100 runs, 47 home runs. So solid numbers.
This man is a home run hitting machine.
You got to talk about this. Is the guy that hit nearly 50 home runs a few years ago before the All-Star break, and he's always been a solid hitter for them.
Oh yeah, he's a great hitter.
I like not just it's kind of ironic being that he plays first base. I could call him a cornerstone of that franchise.
Yeah, but I don't know. The Orioles needed another bat in their lineup, and why not just go with the guy who's got you there? So
exactly.
7 years, 161. That's a high price. That was a high price, but hopefully that'll definitely drive up the market for other guys like Cespedes and Justin Upton and see around that area.
Yeah, certainly something to watch to see whether he could keep up his stature as a big hitter.
There's no doubt about it, in my opinion.
Capping off the baseball world, the Kansas City Royals signed Ian Kennedy from the San Diego Padres.
Yeah, this is an interesting deal. This is a very interesting deal.
He's 31 years old. Over last season, he had a 4.28 ERA. He's gone 44-50 over the last 4 seasons. Certainly not lighting the world on fire.
Yeah, he's a solid, I heard somewhere on the radio today, there are 2 guys that get paid. The really great ones and the innings eaters. So he constantly eats innings. He's good for 200 innings a year as long as he's healthy. And he's healthy most of the time. So, I mean, that's what you really want out of a guy.
Oh,
but
sure.
Considering, Kansas City, I'm not going to doubt what they do because they seem to be doing everything right the past 2 years. So while this seems like a very high price, $70 million for a guy, we were just talking about Kopitar, on the this guy getting paid $80 million.
It's 2 different sports. It's tough to compare.
Understand, but it's crazy considering the amount of talent that one guy has opposed to the other guys. I don't know. Ian Kennedy is a very good. I mean, he's a very good, reliable starter that you can have.
I guess so, but I'll go ahead and say it. I am I'm not too sure about this one. Like, I'm not a Royals fan, but if I was, I wouldn't be too sure about this.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Because
and then the other thing is that he's more of a fly ball pitcher. He gave up a lot of home runs last year, especially in a San Diego park that's very large.
Mm-hmm.
So he's a home run hitter, and the Orioles pride themselves on defense. And while they do have good outfield defense with Lorenzo Cain and Alex Gordon, they have great infield defense as well. And you'd want someone that could maybe get some ground balls, get their infield to maybe take some hits away that would be hits on other teams, like let's say the Mets or someone else with bad defense. Mm-hmm. I don't know. To me, having a guy that's out there who's a fly ball pitcher is not your best chance. I don't think it's a good deal. Yeah. But I'm not going to doubt the Royals as of right now. So
yeah, they have, as a Mets fan, they have shut my ass up.
Yeah,
so
I can't say anything.
I'm going to go ahead and say whatever you guys want to do, you do you.
Yeah, that's pretty much it right now.
And just in that sense. Well, I think that wraps it for us as far as sports go. We do have a announcement. There's been some apparent update with Spreaker, and we now have the option to broadcast on YouTube. We're trying to do this with our show today. Obviously, we didn't have time to announce it because we found out just as we went live. So
we're going to figure out how to do that.
We're going to check the YouTube channel, see what kind of situation that gave us. If we like what it does, you could expect that. Maybe it'd be a little easier than having to get on a Spreaker. Maybe you could just pull up YouTube. So there might be some changes as far as we broadcast. Nothing drastic. We'll still be right here with you.
Yeah, no doubt about
every
it.
Monday and Thursday. So yeah. See you guys in a few days. Still on here, possibly on YouTube. But until then, see you in the cheap seats.